What if I told you that one of the highest paying remote careers today does not require you to be a programmer, a designer, or even a university graduate? What if you could work from home, analyze business data, create reports, and earn money from companies around the world using only a laptop and internet connection? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what a remote data analyst does, what tools they use, how much they can earn, and the step-by-step roadmap beginners can follow to enter this career. Make sure you stay until the end because I'll also show you where to find remote data analyst jobs and how beginners are getting started even without prior experience. Let's continue with the lesson note I prepared for today's tutorial class, and if you need the lesson note, just comment "note" and I will send it to you. Let's begin.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's class. Now, before we dive into the content, I want to take a moment to explain exactly what we are going to cover today, because this lesson is very comprehensive and I want you to follow along from beginning to end. As you can see on your screen, we are looking at our lesson note, and the title of today's class is Day in the Life of a Remote Data Analyst. Take a look at the lesson objectives displayed at the top of the page. You will notice there are 4 key things we are going to accomplish together in this lesson. By the time we finish today, you will understand what a data analyst actually does. You will know the specific tools that data analysts use on the job. You will discover the different ways data analysts earn money working remotely. And you will walk away with a clear, step-by-step roadmap that you can begin following immediately. Now, I want you to notice something about those 4 objectives. Each one builds on the previous one. We are not jumping around. We are going to move through this lesson systematically, from the very beginning all the way to the practical steps you need to take to start this career. So if you are new here, if you have never heard of data analytics before, do not worry. This lesson is designed for complete beginners. We are going to take our time and make sure every concept is clear before we move forward. Let's go to our first section. Section 1. Introduction. Why data analytics? Now let's look at the first section of our lesson note. As you can see on your screen, we are beginning with the introduction, and I want to spend some time here because this section answers a question that many beginners have, which is, why should I learn data analytics in the first place? Pay close attention to this because what I am about to explain is the foundation of everything else we will cover today. We are living in what many people call the information age. Think about it this way. Every time you search for something on Google, that is data. Every time you make a purchase online, that is data. Every time a customer walks into a store and pays with a card, that is data. Every time someone watches a video on YouTube, likes a post on social media, or opens an email, all of that is data. Now here is the important thing. Companies are collecting all of this information. Every single day, businesses are generating enormous amounts of data about their customers, their sales, their products, and their operations. But here is the problem. Collecting data is easy. Understanding what that data means is completely different. This is very important. Raw data, by itself, tells you absolutely nothing. Imagine you are given a spreadsheet with 100,000 rows of numbers. No labels. No context. No explanation. What would you do with it? You would have no idea what it means or what decisions to make from it. That is exactly the problem that companies face every single day. They have more data than they know what to do with. And because they cannot make sense of it on their own, they are willing to pay significant salaries to professionals who can. Those professionals are called data analysts. Now, let's take a look at the images displayed on your screen. Notice the professional sitting at his desk, reviewing what appears to be statistical reports. You can see charts and graphs on the papers in front of him. This is a very accurate representation of the kind of work that data analysts do. They are not simply looking at raw numbers. They are reviewing organized, visual representations of data that help them identify patterns and draw conclusions. And if you look at the second image, the overhead view of that powerful multi-monitor workstation, you can see just how seriously companies take data analysis. That setup, with multiple screens displaying different dashboards and charts simultaneously, represents the kind of environment that professional data analysts work in. Everything on those screens is data being turned into visual insight in real time. Now, you may be wondering, why is the demand for this skill growing so rapidly? The answer is simple. The more technology advances, the more data is generated. And the more data that is generated, the more people are needed to make sense of it. According to multiple industry reports, data analytics is consistently ranked among the top 5 most in-demand careers globally. And the remote work revolution means that a data analyst sitting in Lagos, in Nairobi, in Accra, or in Manila can work for a company headquartered in New York or London without ever leaving their home. That is the opportunity in front of you right now. And that is why this skill is worth your time and attention. Let's move to the next section. Section 2. What is a data analyst? Now we are moving to section 2 of our lesson note. As you can see on your screen, the heading reads, What is a data analyst? This is the foundational question, and I want to make sure the answer is absolutely clear before we go any further. A data analyst is someone who examines data to answer important business questions. Let me say that again slowly because every word in that definition matters. A data analyst examines data to answer important business questions. They do not just look at data for the sake of looking at it. They examine it with a specific purpose. They are trying to find the answer to a question that the business needs answered. Now, take a look at the pull quote you can see on the screen right now. It reads, "A data analyst helps businesses make smart decisions using facts instead of guesses." I want you to take a screenshot of that sentence or write it down, because it captures the entire value of this profession in one line. Think about it this way. Imagine you are the owner of a business, and your sales have been declining for the past 3 months. You have 2 options. Option 1, you guess why it is happening. Maybe you think it is because of competition. Maybe you think it is because of the economy. Maybe you change your marketing strategy based on a feeling. That is decision-making based on guessing. Option 2, you bring in a data analyst. They examine your sales records, your customer data, your website traffic, and your marketing performance. They find the actual reason your sales are declining. Maybe it is a specific product that stopped selling well. Maybe it is a particular region where demand has dropped. Maybe it is a pricing issue. Now you know the real problem and you can solve it with precision. That is decision-making based on facts. That difference between guessing and knowing is the reason companies value data analysts so highly. Now let me give you an example that makes this even more concrete. A company might ask, why are our sales dropping? A data analyst does not guess. They go into the sales database, they pull the data, they examine the numbers by region, by product, by time period, by customer segment, and they come back with a specific, evidence-based answer. Another company might ask, which of our marketing campaigns is actually generating revenue? Again, the data analyst does not guess. They analyze the campaign data and identify which campaigns are producing results and which ones are wasting the company's money. This is why this skill is so powerful. You are the person who replaces guesswork with certainty. You are the person who helps businesses make decisions they can be confident in. And pay close attention to this. Companies across every single industry need this kind of clarity. It does not matter whether it is a bank, a hospital, an e-commerce store, a manufacturing company, or a technology startup. Every organization that collects data, which is every organization, needs someone who can make sense of it. Now that we understand what a data analyst is and why this role is so important, let me ask you something to create some curiosity before we move on. You now know what a data analyst does at a high level. But what does their actual day look like? What specific tasks do they perform? And how do they even get the information they need to analyze? That is exactly what we are going to explore. But first, let me give you a practical, real-world example that will make everything we have discussed come alive. Before we continue, I want to take a quick moment. If you are enjoying today's lesson and finding value in what you are learning, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I regularly share remote job opportunities, online career guides, and practical tutorials that can help you build valuable skills and earn online. Also, if you would like a copy of today's lesson note, simply comment note below and I will send it to you. Section 3, Real-Life Example, the Supermarket. Welcome back. Now let's look at Section 3 of our lesson note. As you can see on your screen, we have a real-life example, and I absolutely love this example because it makes the concept of data analytics immediately understandable for anyone regardless of their background. The example is a supermarket, and I want you to really engage with this scenario as I walk you through it. Imagine that you own a supermarket. Your store sells rice, bread, milk, soft drinks, cooking oil, snacks, and dozens of other products. Every single day, customers walk through your doors, pick up products, and make purchases. By the end of the month, your point-of-sale system has recorded thousands of individual transactions. We are talking about potentially tens of thousands of rows of data, every item purchased, every customer, every time of day, every payment method, every location in the store. Now let me give you an important question. What do you do with all of that data? Do you sit down manually and go through 10,000 rows of a spreadsheet one by one? Of course not. That would take weeks, and by the time you finished, the information would already be outdated. And even if you could read through all of it, would you be able to identify the patterns hidden inside? Most likely not. Now take a look at the image on your screen. Notice the magnifying glass focused on the charts and graphs. This image is a perfect visual representation of what a data analyst actually does. They zoom in on the data. They look for details that others cannot see with the naked eye. They use tools and techniques to magnify the important patterns hidden inside large amounts of information. This is exactly what a data analyst would do for your supermarket. They would take all of those thousands of transaction records and, within hours, tell you exactly which products are your best sellers and which ones are just taking up shelf space and collecting dust. They would tell you the precise times of day when your store is most busy, so you can schedule the right number of staff to serve customers efficiently. They would identify which products your customers tend to buy together, so you can position those items near each other and increase the value of each purchase. They would show you which promotions are actually driving sales and which ones are costing you money without producing results. Now think about how valuable that information is to you as a business owner. You can stock more of the products that sell. You can discontinue the products that do not sell. You can schedule more staff during the busy hours. You can run the promotions that actually work. Every single one of those decisions leads to higher profits and lower costs. That is the power of data analysis in action. And here is what I want you to take away from this example. This is not a complicated, futuristic concept. This is practical, applicable work that creates real value for real businesses. And it is happening right now in supermarkets, in banks, in hospitals, in technology companies, and in e-commerce stores all over the world. Every business that collects data, and today that means almost every business on the planet, needs someone who can do exactly what we just described. Let's now move to the next section of our lesson note. Section 4. What does a data analyst do daily? Now we are on section 4, and this is where things start to get very practical. As you can see on your screen, the heading reads, "What does a data analyst do daily?" And below the heading, you will see a 5-step workflow laid out clearly. Let's take a closer look at each of these 5 steps, because understanding this workflow is essential if you want to understand what this job actually involves on a day-to-day basis. The first step is collecting data. Pay close attention to this because data collection is more nuanced than most beginners realize. A data analyst does not simply open a spreadsheet that someone has already prepared for them. They actively go and retrieve the data they need from the appropriate sources. And those sources can be very different depending on the type of business and the question being investigated. Data might come from a company's internal database, a structured collection of records stored in software that the company uses to run its operations. It might come from a company website, for example, traffic data, click behavior, conversion rates, and user journeys that are tracked by tools like Google Analytics. It might come from mobile applications, from customer feedback surveys, from social media platforms, or from third-party data providers. The analyst's first task is to identify what data is needed to answer the specific business question, and then retrieve that data from the correct source. This requires both technical knowledge, knowing how to access different data systems, and business understanding, knowing what information is actually relevant. The second step is cleaning data. This is very important, and I want to spend a little extra time here because it is the step that surprises most people who are new to this career. In a perfect world, data would arrive organized, complete, and accurate. But in the real world, data is almost never perfect. Real-world data is messy. It has gaps. It has errors. It has inconsistencies. Let me give you an example. Imagine a company has a database of customer records. Some of those records are missing email addresses. Some customers have been entered into the system twice, 2 separate records for the same person. Some entries have a date formatted as January 1st, 2024, while others have the same date formatted as January 1st, 2024. Some numerical fields have typos. A sale recorded as $1,000 when it should have been $100. If you tried to analyze that messy data without cleaning it first, your results would be completely unreliable. You would be drawing conclusions based on errors. And those conclusions would lead to bad business decisions. So the data analyst carefully examines the raw data, identifies every problem, and corrects it. They remove duplicate records. They fill in missing values where possible or flag them where they cannot be filled. They standardize formatting so everything is consistent. They identify and correct obvious errors. This step can be time-consuming. Sometimes it takes several hours of a working day. But it is absolutely non-negotiable. Clean data is the foundation of accurate analysis. The third step is analyzing data. Now, take a look at the Power BI dashboard displayed on your screen. This is a real example of what an analyzed and visualized dataset looks like. You can see charts showing gross sales over time, profit broken down by country, and a geographical map displaying performance by region. This is the output that comes after a thorough analysis. But before you can build something like this, you must first perform the analysis itself. During the analysis phase, the data analyst uses tools like Excel formulas, SQL queries, and statistical techniques to examine the clean data and look for patterns, trends, opportunities, and problems. They calculate totals, averages, and percentages. They compare performance across different time periods. For example, this month versus last month, or this quarter versus the same quarter last year. They segment the data into groups, by region, by product, by customer type, to see which groups are performing differently from others. This step requires both technical skill and business thinking. You are not just running calculations. You are asking intelligent questions of the data and interpreting what the answers mean for the organization. The fourth step is creating reports and dashboards. Once the analysis is complete, the findings must be communicated. And this is where the visual element of the job comes in. Look at the dashboard on your screen again. Notice how the numbers have been transformed into visual charts and graphs that tell a clear story at a glance. That is the goal of this step. To take complex information and present it in a way that is immediately understandable to someone who did not do the analysis themselves. Data analysts use tools like Microsoft Excel, Power BI, and Tableau to build these professional visual outputs. They choose the right type of chart for each piece of information. Bar charts for comparisons, line charts for trends over time, pie charts for proportions, maps for geographical data. The result is a dashboard or report that a manager, a director, or a business owner can look at and immediately understand what is happening in their business. The fifth step is presenting findings. And this is the step that many beginners overlook when they think about this career. Building the report is not the end of the job. Once the dashboard is ready, the data analyst must communicate their findings to the relevant people in the organization. This might be a formal presentation in a virtual meeting with senior leadership. It might be a written report shared by email. It might be a walkthrough of a live dashboard. Notice the images on your screen showing professionals in virtual meetings and video calls. That is exactly the kind of communication that data analysts participate in regularly. They are not hidden away in a back office running calculations all day. They are active members of business conversations, explaining what the data shows and recommending actions based on their findings. At this stage, your communication skills become just as important as your technical skills. The best data analysts are not just good with numbers, they are good at explaining what those numbers mean to people who are not technical. These 5 steps, collecting, cleaning, analyzing, reporting, and presenting, represent the complete workflow of a professional data analyst. Now let's see how these steps fit into a real working day. Section 5. A day in the life of a remote data analyst. Let's move to Section 5. As you can see on your screen, this section is titled A Day in the Life of a Remote Data Analyst, and it gives us a look at what the actual daily schedule of someone in this role typically looks like. I love this section because it takes everything we have been discussing in theory and makes it feel real and tangible. So let's walk through the day together. Now look at the 4 schedule blocks displayed on the page: morning, midday, afternoon, and end of day. Each one represents a part of the working day and the specific tasks that happen during that time. Let's go through each one. In the morning, the remote data analyst starts their day by checking their emails. Not because email is exciting, but because overnight, managers may have sent new requests, colleagues may have shared updates, and stakeholders may have questions about previous reports. After reviewing their emails, they look at their task list for the day. What analysis needs to be completed today? What reports are due? Are there any deadlines approaching? Then they join their virtual team meeting. This is very important. And take a look at the images on your screen showing professionals on video calls and team meetings. This is what remote collaboration looks like for a data analyst. They may be sitting in their bedroom or home office, but they are connected to a team that could be spread across multiple countries. The stand-up meeting typically lasts between 15 and 30 minutes and covers what each team member is working on and whether anyone needs support. By midday, the analyst is deep in the technical work. They download or pull the data they need for their current assignment. Then they run their SQL queries, those structured commands we discussed earlier, to extract specific information from the company database. They are analyzing customer information, reviewing sales figures, or examining operational data depending on what the day's assignment requires. Look at the SQL code displayed on your screen right now. Notice those lines of code: select, from, where. Those are actual SQL commands that real data analysts write every day to retrieve precise information from databases. You are looking at a real example of the kind of technical work that happens during this midday phase. In the afternoon, the analyst transitions from analysis to communication. They take the insights they have generated and begin building the visual outputs. The dashboards in Power BI, the charts in Excel, the formal reports that will be shared with management. And then they present those findings. They send the report by email, share the dashboard link, or hop on another video call to walk stakeholders through what the data shows. Look at the image on your screen showing the professional presenting to a room while team members join remotely on a large screen. That is a real example of what presenting findings looks like in a modern hybrid working environment. The data analyst is standing at the screen, explaining the insights, fielding questions, and helping the team understand what decisions to make based on the data. At the end of the day, the analyst wraps up their work. They update their project tracker so the team knows what has been completed. They document the work they did, which datasets they used, which analyses they ran, what conclusions they drew. This documentation is important because it creates a record that others can refer back to. And then they plan their tasks for the following day so they can start tomorrow with clarity and focus. Then they close the laptop. Now, I want you to notice something about this schedule. This entire day, all of this valuable, highly paid professional work was done from home. The analyst never had to commute. They chose their own hours within the boundaries of their team's schedule. They worked in their own environment on their own terms. That is the reality of a remote data analyst career. And it is available to anyone who is willing to develop the skills to make it happen. Let's now look at what those skills actually are. Section 6. Tools every data analyst must learn. We are now on Section 6, and this is one of the most important sections in today's lesson. As you can see on your screen, the heading reads, Tools every data analyst must learn. Now, I want you to pay close attention here because these are the specific tools you need to invest your learning time in if you want to pursue this career. Let's go through each one. The first tool is Microsoft Excel. Look at the tool card on your screen. Excel is represented here as the starting point, and that is exactly what it is for every beginner. Excel is one of the most widely used software applications in the entire world. Almost every organization, regardless of size or industry, uses Excel in some capacity. And for data analysts, Excel is an incredibly powerful tool for organizing and manipulating data. With Excel, you can write formulas and functions to perform calculations automatically. You can build pivot tables, which allow you to summarize and reorganize large amounts of data with just a few clicks. You can create charts and graphs that turn rows of numbers into visual representations. And you can clean datasets by removing duplicates, handling missing values, and standardizing formats. Now here is why Excel matters so much as a starting point. Learning Excel builds your foundational thinking as a data analyst. It teaches you how to think about data, how to organize it, how to question it, how to manipulate it to find answers. That foundational thinking carries directly into every other tool you will learn. The second tool is SQL, and pay close attention to this one because it is arguably the most important skill on this list when it comes to getting hired. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Take a look at the SQL code displayed on your screen right now. Those lines of code. Select EMP code, EMP name, EMP salary from employee where EMP name in. That is a real SQL query. And what it is doing is retrieving specific information from a database table. Let me explain what SQL does in plain language. Most companies store their data in a database, a structured digital storage system that can hold millions or even billions of records. When a data analyst needs to retrieve specific information from that database, they write a SQL query. Think of a SQL query as a very precise question that you ask the database, and the database returns exactly the answer you requested. For example, you could write a SQL query that says, give me the total sales amount for every product category in the month of January. The database processes that query and returns a clean, organized table of results in seconds. Without SQL, you would have to manually search through millions of records to find that information. With SQL, it takes a few lines of code and a few seconds. This is why SQL is one of the most requested skills in virtually every data analyst job description you will find. Employers know that a candidate who understands SQL can access the company's data independently and efficiently. That independence is extremely valuable. The third tool is Power BI. Now look at the Power BI dashboard displayed on your screen. This is a real Microsoft Power BI financial sample dashboard. Notice the line chart at the top showing gross sales over time. Notice the bar chart below it showing profit by country. France, Germany, Canada, the United States, Mexico. Notice the geographical map on the right side showing where the company's profits are concentrated around the world. This is what Power BI produces. It takes your data, your Excel files, your SQL databases, your cloud data sources, and transforms them into interactive, visually stunning dashboards and reports that business leaders can understand immediately. Power BI is a Microsoft product, which means it integrates seamlessly with Excel and with other Microsoft Office tools that most companies already use. This makes it an extremely practical choice for organizations of all sizes. For you as a beginner, learning Power BI means learning how to communicate your analysis visually. Because in the professional world, a great analysis that is poorly presented is almost as useless as no analysis at all. Power BI gives you the ability to make your insights impossible to ignore. The fourth tool is Tableau. Tableau is another world-class data visualization platform. Like Power BI, it allows you to build interactive charts, graphs, maps, and dashboards. Tableau is particularly popular in large enterprises and in industries where data visualization is especially critical, such as finance, healthcare, and retail. Many senior data analysts are proficient in both Power BI and Tableau. Having both tools on your resume significantly increases your attractiveness to employers, because different companies use different tools, and being able to adapt to either one makes you a more flexible and versatile candidate. The fifth tool is Python. Now, I want to be transparent with you about Python because I do not want to overwhelm beginners unnecessarily. Python is a programming language. It is used by data analysts for more advanced tasks, processing very large datasets that Excel cannot handle, automating repetitive analysis tasks, building predictive models, and performing statistical analysis at a level that goes beyond what Excel and SQL can do on their own. Here is the honest truth. You do not need Python to get your first job as a data analyst. Excel, SQL, and Power BI are sufficient to qualify for junior and entry-level roles. Many working data analysts go months or even years into their careers before they need to use Python regularly. However, and this is very important, as you grow in your career and move toward more senior positions, Python becomes a powerful differentiator. It separates good analysts from great ones. So keep it in your long-term plan, but do not let it stop you from getting started today. Now that we know what tools data analysts use, let me create some curiosity before we move on. You now understand the role, the daily workflow, and the tools. But how exactly do you go from where you are right now, possibly knowing nothing about data analysis, to being qualified for a remote data analyst job? What are the specific steps you need to take and in what order? That is exactly what the next section covers. Section 7, Your Roadmap, How to Become a Data Analyst. Now we are on Section 7, and this is the section I believe many of you have been waiting for. As you can see on your screen, we have a clear 6-step roadmap laid out from top to bottom. Look at the connected pathway. Step 1 flows into Step 2, Step 2 into Step 3, and so on all the way down to Step 6. That visual structure is intentional because these steps are sequential. The order matters. Let's break down each step. Step 1 is to learn Excel. This is your foundation, and I cannot overstate how important it is to start here and build this skill properly before moving on. Many beginners are tempted to skip Excel because they feel it is too basic, and they want to jump straight into SQL or Python because those sound more impressive. That is a mistake. Excel teaches you how to think like a data analyst. It teaches you how to organize information, how to write logical formulas, how to create pivot tables that summarize complex data sets, and how to build charts that communicate your findings visually. Every concept you learn in Excel will make learning SQL, Power BI, and Python significantly easier. Practically speaking, spend 2 to 4 weeks on Excel. Use free resources on YouTube, on Google, and on platforms like Coursera. Practice with real data. Download free datasets and try to answer business questions using only Excel. Step 2 is to learn SQL. Once you are comfortable working in Excel, transition to SQL. And when I say comfortable, I do not mean perfect. I mean you should be able to write basic formulas, build pivot tables, and create simple charts without having to look up how to do everything. When you start learning SQL, begin with the foundational commands. Learn how to write a select statement to retrieve data from a table. Learn how to use where to filter your results based on specific conditions. Learn how to use group by to aggregate data into categories. Learn how to use join to combine information from 2 or more tables. You can practice SQL for free using tools like MySQL Workbench, PostgreSQL, or Google BigQuery, all of which have free versions. Download a public dataset and practice writing queries that answer specific questions. The best way to learn SQL is by doing it, not just by watching tutorials. Step 3 is to learn Power BI. After SQL, begin learning Power BI. Download the free desktop version from the Microsoft website. Import an Excel file or connect to a database and begin building your first dashboard. Start simple. Build a basic sales dashboard. Then a performance report. Then a more complex multi-page dashboard that combines multiple data sources. Microsoft provides excellent free training materials on their website, and there are many high-quality Power BI tutorials available on YouTube. As you practice Power BI, focus on learning how to design dashboards that are not just technically correct but also visually clear and easy to read. The best dashboards tell a story. They guide the viewer's eye to the most important information first. Step 4 is to build practice projects. This is the step where real learning happens, and it is also the step where most beginners stop, usually because they are waiting to feel ready. Let me tell you something important. You will never feel completely ready. The only way to become ready is to start building. Go to Kaggle.com. It is a free platform where data scientists and analysts share public datasets. Download a dataset that interests you. It could be retail sales data, customer churn data, sports statistics, financial data, anything. Then use your Excel, SQL, and Power BI skills to analyze that dataset and answer a specific business question. Document your process. What question were you trying to answer? What data did you use? What steps did you take? What did you find? The more thoroughly you document your projects, the more valuable they become when you present them to potential employers. Step 5 is to create a portfolio. Your portfolio is your proof. It is the evidence that you can do this work. And it is what separates a candidate who says they know data analytics from one who can demonstrate it. Create a free GitHub account and upload your project files, your Excel workbooks, your SQL scripts, your Power BI files. Write a short description for each project explaining what the business problem was, what data you used, what analysis you performed, and what insights you found. 3 to 5 well-documented projects are enough to qualify for an entry-level data analyst position. You do not need 20 projects. You need 3 to 5 that are thorough, clearly explained, and demonstrate a range of skills. Step 6 is to apply for jobs and internships. And here is the advice that I want you to remember above everything else in this section. Do not wait until step 6 to start applying. Begin sending applications during step 4 while you are still building your projects. Many entry-level data analyst positions are designed for people who are still learning. They expect candidates to have basic Excel skills, foundational SQL knowledge, and a few portfolio projects. That is it. The application process itself is educational. You will see what skills employers are asking for. You will practice communicating your experience in cover letters and interviews. You will receive feedback that helps you identify where to focus your learning. Every application you send, whether it leads to a job or not, makes you a stronger candidate for the next one. Before we continue, if you have learned something valuable so far, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss future tutorials. And remember, if you would like the complete lesson note we are covering today, comment note below. I read the comments and I will make sure you get access to the lesson material. Section 8. How Data Analysts Make Money. Now let's move to Section 8, How Data Analysts Make Money. As you can see on your screen, we have 5 income stream cards displayed, each representing a different way that data analysts earn income. Let's go through each one. The first income stream is full-time employment. This is the most traditional path. A company hires you as a full-time data analyst, pays you a monthly salary, and you work as part of their internal team. Full-time employment provides stability, a consistent income, employment benefits, and the opportunity to grow within an organization over time. The second income stream is remote jobs. This is the same as full-time employment, but with the critical distinction that the work is done entirely online from wherever you are located. Remote data analyst positions allow you to work for companies in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else in the world, while living in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, or anywhere else. This is where the global income opportunity truly comes alive. Because remote roles often pay in US dollars or British pounds, the earning potential for someone living in Africa or Southeast Asia is significantly higher than the local salary market might offer. The third income stream is freelancing. Freelancing means offering your data analysis services to clients on a project-by-project basis. You are not employed by one company. Instead, you work with multiple clients, delivering specific analyses, dashboards, or reports, and you are paid per project. Freelancing is particularly accessible for beginners because you do not need a formal employment record. You build a profile on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, showcase your portfolio, and begin bidding on or receiving project requests from clients around the world. We will discuss the specific platforms in the next section. The fourth income stream is consulting. As your experience grows and your reputation as a skilled analyst develops, companies will begin approaching you for consulting engagements. Consulting means advising an organization on how to better collect, manage, and use their data. Consulting rates are typically higher than freelance project rates because you are being engaged for your expertise and strategic thinking, not just your technical execution. The fifth income stream is contract work. Contract work sits between full-time employment and freelancing. A company engages you for a defined period, perhaps 3 months, 6 months, or a year, to work on a specific project or to fill a temporary role. Contract roles often pay very well, and they are a common pathway into full-time positions once you have demonstrated your value. Now, I want to zoom out and give you the big picture here. The reason data analytics is such a powerful career choice is not just that it pays well, though it certainly does. It is that it pays well across multiple different formats. Whether you want the stability of a full-time job, the flexibility of freelancing, or the variety of consulting, this skill gives you options. And options mean freedom. As your experience grows, your earnings typically increase significantly. Entry-level analysts earn competitive salaries. Senior analysts earn considerably more. And at the top of the career ladder, professionals in roles like data science and analytics management are among the highest paid individuals in the global technology industry. Let's move to the next section. Section 9. Where to find remote data analyst jobs. We are now on Section 9, and this is the section that moves us from theory to action. As you can see on your screen, we have a list of 7 platforms where you can find remote data analyst jobs. Let's go through each one and talk about how to use them effectively as a beginner. The first platform is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not optional. If you are serious about building a career in data analytics, or in any professional field, you need a LinkedIn profile. Recruiters and hiring managers use LinkedIn every single day to search for candidates. Many companies post their job openings exclusively on LinkedIn and do not advertise them anywhere else. Your LinkedIn profile should include your name, a professional headline, something like Junior Data Analyst or Aspiring Remote Data Analyst, a clear summary of your skills and experience, and your portfolio projects. Connect with other data analysts. Follow companies you would like to work for. Engage with content in the data analytics space. The second platform is Indeed. Indeed is one of the largest job search engines in the world, with millions of job listings across hundreds of countries. When you search on Indeed, use specific terms like Remote Data Analyst, Junior Data Analyst, or Entry-Level Data Analyst. Set up email alerts so that new postings in your search category are sent to your inbox automatically. Apply consistently, not occasionally. Consistency is what produces results. The third platform is Glassdoor. Glassdoor is valuable not just as a job board but as a research tool. When you find a company you are interested in on Glassdoor, you can read reviews from current and former employees, and, critically, you can see salary data for specific roles at that company. This information is invaluable when it comes time to negotiate your salary. You walk into that conversation knowing what the role typically pays, which means you can advocate for a fair offer with confidence. The fourth platform is FlexJobs. FlexJobs specializes exclusively in remote and flexible work opportunities. Every job listing on FlexJobs is manually verified by their team, which means you will not encounter spam or fraudulent postings. For beginners who are cautious about job search scams, which is a real concern especially in the online space, FlexJobs provides a safer, more trustworthy environment to find legitimate remote opportunities. The fifth platform is Wellfound. Wellfound, previously known as AngelList Talent, is a platform specifically focused on startup companies and early-stage technology businesses. Many of the most exciting remote roles are found here. Startups often have more flexibility than large corporations when it comes to hiring junior talent, because they are building their teams from the ground up and are willing to invest in people with strong potential even if they do not have years of experience. The sixth platform is Upwork. Now, Upwork is particularly important for beginners, and I want to spend a moment here explaining how to use it strategically. Upwork is a freelance marketplace where clients post projects and freelancers submit proposals. As a beginner data analyst, you can create a profile on Upwork and offer specific services: Excel data analysis, dashboard creation in Power BI, data cleaning, SQL reporting. You do not need years of experience to start. You need a clear profile, a few portfolio samples, and the ability to communicate professionally with clients. In the beginning, you may need to take on smaller, lower-budget projects to build your reputation on the platform. But as you accumulate positive reviews, your visibility increases and so does your earning potential. Many freelance data analysts earn their first remote income on Upwork before they ever land a full-time remote job. The seventh platform is Fiverr. Fiverr works differently from Upwork. Instead of proposing on client projects, you create gig listings, structured service offerings that clients browse and purchase. For example, you might create a gig titled "I will create a professional Excel dashboard for your business." You describe what is included, set your price, and when a client finds your gig and purchases it, you deliver the work. Fiverr is particularly powerful for beginners because it removes the need to compete for each project individually. Your gig works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And some data analysts on Fiverr generate consistent monthly income from their gig listings alone. Now, take a look at the important advice highlighted on your screen. It reads, "Do not wait until you become an expert before applying." Many companies hire junior data analysts who have Excel skills, basic SQL knowledge, and a few portfolio projects. This is one of the most important messages in today's entire lesson. I want you to really hear it. The barrier to entry for this career is lower than most people think. You do not need to be an expert. You need to be competent, coachable, and consistent. That combination is enough to get started. Section 10. Final message. Your journey starts now. We have arrived at the final section of today's lesson. And as you can see on your screen, the heading reads, "Your journey starts now." I chose that heading very deliberately because I want you to walk away from this video with a sense of possibility, not overwhelm. Yes, there is a lot to learn. Yes, it will take time and consistent effort. But the path is clear, the tools are available, and the opportunity is real. Let me leave you with the most important mindset shift I can offer. The biggest mistake that beginners make, and I say this having seen it repeatedly, is waiting until they feel completely ready before they take action. They finish one course and then start another. They watch tutorial after tutorial without ever opening Excel and practicing themselves. They tell themselves they will apply for jobs after they learn one more thing. And the months go by. Here is the truth. You will never feel completely ready. Nobody does. The data analysts who are earning well today did not wait until they felt ready. They started with what they had, they practiced consistently, they made mistakes, they learned from those mistakes, and they kept going. Look at the final message on your screen. It reads, "The companies that hire data analysts are not looking for perfection. They are looking for people who can solve problems using data." Read that again. They are not looking for perfection. They are looking for problem solvers. That is the standard you are working toward. Not perfection. Problem solving. So here is what I want you to do after this video ends. Do not close this tab and move on to something else. Take one concrete action. If you have never opened Excel, open it today. If you have never watched a SQL tutorial, search for one today. If you do not have a LinkedIn profile, create one today. One action. That is all it takes to begin. Progress is built one step at a time. And every step you take, no matter how small it feels, is moving you closer to a career that can genuinely change your life. Before I let you go, let me quickly summarize everything we covered in today's lesson. We started by understanding why data analytics is one of the most valuable skills in today's digital economy. We defined what a data analyst is, a professional who helps businesses make smart decisions using facts instead of guesses. We walked through a practical real-world example using a supermarket to show how data analysis creates real business value. We examined the 5-step daily workflow of a data analyst: collecting data, cleaning data, analyzing data, creating reports, and presenting findings. We walked through a realistic remote working day from morning to end of day. We covered the 5 essential tools: Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, and Python, and explained what each one does and why it matters. We went through the 6-step roadmap to become a data analyst, from learning Excel all the way to applying for jobs. We discussed the 5 income streams available to data analysts: employment, remote jobs, freelancing, consulting, and contract work. And we covered 7 platforms where you can find your first remote data analyst opportunity. That is a complete masterclass, and you now have more knowledge about this career than the majority of people who are considering it. Now it is your turn to take action. If you found value in today's lesson, please like this video. It genuinely helps this content reach more people who need it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss what is coming next. And if you would like a copy of the lesson note we covered today, drop the word note in the comments below and I will make sure you receive it. In the next video, we are going into our first hands-on practical session. We are going to open Excel together and begin learning the exact functions and techniques that real data analysts use on the job. I will see you in the next class. Thank you for watching, and go take that first step today.